But can you say a bit more about that, what outcomes you feel as though have been met?
I think we definitely nailed the ethnographic documentary. I think that was something that they weren't aware of, and they know exactly what it is. It's a social documentary and we've got to keep it raw. They've learned about the EU as the biggest learning curve. We thought it would be quite a boring subject for them, but they took to it well, they've enjoyed it, they've really learned about it, they talk about it, they formed their own opinions. They've learned what bias, not being biased and unbiased is, and being they probably haven't nailed the reflective part of it so much, but I think they've definitely got more of a knowledge and understanding.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, I just think that it's made this particular subject area very accessible, that the confidence they had to just go out and approach members of the public was really significant, because even in the classroom setting, if you ask or you ask a particular pupil to answer a question, they'll struggle, they won't respond. So them having this learning tool and you know, at their disposal was just a vehicle for them to, you know, approach people and get people's opinions about an issue that they had limited knowledge on, really. So it just made that subject area accessible and something they really enjoyed.
Okay, brilliant. So you mentioned the reflection and that you thought that was potentially a bit more of a challenge for them. So it'd be nice to hear a bit more about that, about how you felt, why you felt it was a bit of a challenge, and whether you think there was any other overall challenges to do with implementing this.
I think that overall in school, I think evaluating and reflecting is something that we're always working on. They're good at making things, good at designing things, but they're not good at reflecting on how to improve or why something was said, or evaluating someone's opinion against somebody else's. I think it's definitely something that we need to develop on, because they were like, I think the camera, like Anne said before, put them off because they wanted to quickly get it done, because they felt the pressure of having to say something. I think if we could go back, I'd give them a bit more time, and we'd probably take that time in the day to say, right, let's go through a reflection. What is reflection? Key questions you could be asking yourself, and then let them go off and give them a set time to go and do it. I think there's the pressure of the time to get that information and quickly reflect on it, which I didn't give them enough time to think and engage with what they'd just heard and really weigh up their opinions against it.
Yeah.
I think some of them did go off task because we were getting confused with some of the places we visited and some of the questions we asked. When we went to Brussels and we went to the EU Parliament, they've got this thing about putting the whole chunk of clips in, rather than picking out the key points that somebody said. And I think that's something, like I was trying to, without influencing too much, say that it's a bit long, you know, you could cut that down, and is that really necessary to have that in there? So I think they've done really well. I think
that's interesting though, that if you look at the documentary, all of those are at the very end of the project, and that's the last bit of footage that you'll see in there. So that could be a factor, really.
Yeah, the way they organised. Some of them organised it in the events that we did.
Right,
in that order. Some of them haven't. You know, they could.
So they've done it completely linear timeline, rather than mixing and matching.
They've thought. Well, what we were saying was the fact that usually the reflective process, they didn't really nail it, but the camera did help them in the fact that they had instant feedback. They could watch back what they've done. If they didn't like it or they didn't get it right, they could delete it. Also, when it came to editing, they could take out bits that they didn't want to include. But also, for some of the pupils, it brought reflective practice to the forefront, rather than having to maybe doing a traditional method of writing down their answers, where we would assess them on their literacy skills, punctuation, structuring a sentence. All of that was out the window. It was just literally your opinion. What is your opinion? And I think that made it easier for them, but also made it harder because we've never really constant. It's always at the end of a project you do an evaluation, reflective practice, and you never really get time to really reflect back at it. You just put them some targets saying, and it's usually ends up being based around literacy rather than what is your actual opinion. Why do you think that? Because we can only set them 3 targets.
Yeah.
And it makes it difficult. So this kind of chopped out lots of things, and they were just their opinions.
So it was. So what you're saying is it was problematic, but it was problematic because it was bringing it more to the forefront than other modes might have done.
And it highlighted to us that we haven't concentrated on it, and this.
Yeah. To be honest, it does seem to be just 2 sides. We're either in or we're out, and I think it's pretty even, really. And I don't think that the pupils have gone with, if that's what you mean, right, I'm just picking this, you know, this view that we don't want to be in the EU and part of it. I think that they've, you know, they've given a balanced view, really. So. I think they've made some really good choices to, you know, be inclusive and have a range of views.
Gotcha.
And I think as the units progressed, they formed their own opinions as well. At first, they had a really strong opinion why they should be in it, but I think they've actually listened to other people's opinions and they thought, oh, okay then, like, because it benefits us because we buy our spray paint from them. From Germany, so for us the trade's brilliant. We want to remain as part of the EU. But then all that one documentary we watched when the woman just kept saying, "We're British, I'm British." It's British. She said it about 20 times, and I think that made them chuckle as well. Because I think once we had been to Brussels and come back, they kind of looked at it. Oh, you're a bit closed, and you know there is more out there.
It is interesting because even here, before they went anywhere,
they were like that.
Well, they were like that, but then they'd find people in the school community who were just like, oh no, we don't want to be part of the EU. And it has changed their opinions, and I know Richard's made the statement, what do they know? So what they're learning is that, you know what, that just might be an individual's opinion, but because we've got a whole range of other people's opinion, we all need to think and consider and really look at the facts rather than just something sensational.
They feel a bit superior in the school because other people don't. They feel that they don't have the knowledge that they have.